Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 31 of the Give 'em Heck podcast. I'm Brian. This is your host, Penny, and wanted to kind of get back into the routine of things because I forgot to do this last time we recorded. Want to thank all of the new viewers that we have gotten, both on here and on our TikTok. The TikTok is actually more successful than I thought. Um, so thank you for that. If you've come here from the TikTok. And we're very happy that all of you are still taking a lot of investment into this. It means a lot to us. It's very cool to be able to explain life from a more straightforward perspective as opposed to trying to beat around the bush. But I'm very excited for this week's episode because you said that you think I would like it.
I do. We talk a lot about this stuff, but I think you and I get into a little bit more in depth when we're in front of the camera, which is weird.
Oh, this ought to be interesting.
But it puts me in a place where now you're on the spot, so you can't walk away from me.
You think that's going to ever stop me?
Maybe.
All right, well, let's get right into it.
Let's get right into it. Again, thanks to all of our new viewers and to our viewers who have been with us since day one. Maybe there are viewers that have been with us since day one. You never know.
Yeah, that's a cool thing to think about. It's like the dedicated fan.
Yeah, we've been doing this for a year now. Isn't that weird?
It is weird to think about. It doesn't really feel like it's been a year.
No, time goes by fast.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. I do want to say I have a little thing in the works that I've been working on for the podcast. I have not said anything to you yet, but I do want you guys to be aware that there will be something new popping up in the descriptions pretty soon. Don't know exactly when, but it is something that will be brought to help us help you.
Okay.
It's going to be, it's, some people probably could guess what it is, but it's something to help advance us as a show and obviously bring you guys a little bit better content in the long run. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to tell you guys about it.
Should I be concerned?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm trusting you. All right.
I am a very trustworthy person.
I know you are. All right. I'm going to read our disclaimer, as I always do, that we are not doctors, psychologists, or counselors. We are not given any medical or psychological advice. We are just here to simply discuss real-life situations to give hope, encouragement, and instill change. So one thing I will say when we get into this, as we are, that we have been talking a lot about love, unconditional love, and tonight's episode will go along with that. So if any of you are interested in kind of picking up where this got started, you can go back and watch episodes 29, 30, and our live podcast, which we had last week, which is number 6. And they kind of all go together. So if you went back and watch all of them, it kind of will make even more sense if you want to go back and do that. So in our last episode, 30, which was not live, we talked about unconditional love, a New Year's resolution. Mm-hmm. And yes, we talked about a lot of things, but one thing that we talked about in that episode, Brian, is common myths of unconditional love. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to read those, and if you have any questions or comments you want to throw in there, go ahead. Mm-hmm. So one of those common myths of unconditional love is that it means accepting toxic behavior. Unconditional love doesn't mean tolerating disrespect, abuse, or harmful actions. Boundaries are essential. Another one is you should always feel happy. Even in unconditional love, disagreements and difficult moments are natural. It's not about being happy 24/7. Another one is that it requires sacrificing your own needs. Loving unconditionally doesn't mean neglecting your own well-being for the sake of the relationship. And we always say that you are the most important person in your life, right? Mm-hmm. Another one is that it never changes over time. Some believe love should stay the same forever, but it evolves as people grow. And it's funny that that one's in there because your dad and I were talking about that today. and we've been married for 35 years. And, you know, we talked about how we've changed, and that we find that through those changes of these years that we've grown to love each other more, which is a good thing. But I didn't realize how many changes we had gone through over these, because, you know, every day you just kind of flow into it, right? And then as the years pass, you don't really think about it. And then one day you come to the realization of where we're at, and it's like, wow, that's kind of neat, because we're all on a journey, right?
It's like a mixture of maturity, experience, and growth. It's a little bit of everything.
That's what your dad said too.
It's interesting.
He did. He said that. All right. And the last one we have is you have to love without effort. Unconditional love isn't automatic. It's built through empathy, patience, and shared experiences over time. And that is true. And I can say that, you know, with being married to your dad for 35 years, that it's not automatic. And there are struggles, and we've had them. But, it's also about putting the other person first. And I think that is a big part of our relationship, is that we put each other's needs before our own, even though we talked about you are the most important person in your life. It's still about putting that other person first too.
I think it's a little.
It's a good balance.
It's different in a marriage or in a relationship perspective, because the best way you can determine true love in that scenario is you essentially become one person.
Yeah.
When there's that connection, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like you view your partner as the most important, but it goes both ways. You provide for them, they provide for you. Instead, in a normal, like in a single environment, single relationship, whatever you want to call it, it's just me providing for me.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
you're not necessarily sharing a burden when you're in a relationship. Your partner provides for you and helps you carry that burden.
Oh, wow.
You become one.
Yeah, I like that.
You know?
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. So in our live podcast, so what I did with this episode, Brian, and going back and talking about our last two podcasts, I also involved our last podcast, which we did last Saturday night, which was live, number 6. We talked about acceptance, approval, and affirmation through love.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We often say we are all on a journey. Your journey is a revelation of who you are, your identity. Our identity does not need to come from acceptance, approval, or affirmation of others. We are not clones. We need to acknowledge our worth instead of being owed that worth. Do you want to kind of expand on that sentence, Brian, when I say we need to acknowledge our worth instead of being owed that worth?
I think it's pretty easy for an individual to kind of denounce their own worth, because especially when things go wrong. But when you really value, or I should say, when you see your own value, you see your own worth, it puts you in a much better mindset to be able to tackle hard issues. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you recognize the value that you have as an individual, it helps you progress in life with more meaning.
Yeah, you don't feel like you're owed it.
Yeah, you don't feel like you're owed
owed
it, because it's like, imagine if you were carrying around a gold bar. You know there's value there, so you're going to protect it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to keep it safe. And it's kind of that same thing with us as individuals. When you recognize the value that you have,
You know you matter.
you protect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You value yourself. You will keep yourself safe. If you put yourself in situations where you're constantly being denied of love and acceptance from a partner or a friend group or whatever you want to call it, that's not really you denying your worth. That's them not recognizing your worth.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And that can have a negative impact on you, because if you think they don't see me as worthy, so why should I see myself as worthy?
So now you're thinking I should be owed that worth.
It can lead to that. It can lead to, it's obviously not a black and white issue.
Right. I know there's a fine one.
It can lead to feeling like I am owed because of the things that I do. It could be, or maybe they're right.
Oh.
Maybe I am worthless.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It really goes down like two roads, and of course they can branch off from there in many different directions.
Yeah.
But it either leads to self-denial of value or acceptance of no value.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's why you should never base your value on anybody else.
Exactly.
You can acknowledge being treated unfairly,
Mm-hmm.
but being treated unfairly does not negate the value that you have.
Right. Because who says that the way they view you is correct?
Yeah. Oftentimes people that degrade
Your worth.
are often the ones, that degrade your worth are often the ones who see themselves as
Worthless. Exactly. Yep.
That's why misery loves company.
How true. So we often try to find our identity through others by gaining their acceptance, approval, and affirmation. Relationships are not about what you do, but about who you are with each other.
Didn't I just say that?
Again, you read my notes? No, you didn't. The problem is when people try to change us through their personal convictions and beliefs, known as projection. It should be based on genuine relationship, because relationship is more important than beliefs. And again, I think that can go along, Brian, with what we had talked about earlier in our TikTok, is that you have to come to a place where, like with beliefs, to agree to disagree. Because we even say on our podcast, you don't have to believe what we believe.
Yeah.
You don't have to see things the way we see them.
I often say that if you can have different opinions that can lead to the same outcome,
Mm-hmm.
I would say those are probably things where people can make compromises on. It's kind of the same thing I do in my debates.
Yep.
I try to find common ground.
Yep.
Even if we completely disagree on the topic being had,
Mm-hmm.
if I can find common ground, I can build from there.
Right.
And it's the same thing in relationships.
Yeah.
If you have a partner that does something you don't like,
Mm-hmm.
or that if you have a partner that does something they don't like, or vice versa, a lot of times instead of thinking, oh well, it's a you problem or it's a me problem, think of compromises, common ground, like what
Yep.
can we do to remedy this,
Right. Right.
instead of thinking I'm right, you're wrong.
Right.
you
Well,
know.
and I know you often say that you like talking to people who have a different opinion
Yeah.
than what you have.
Yeah, I find it to be very exciting.
Yeah, because everybody has worth to bring to the table.
I notice in today's day and age, and I know because I speak to people from a lot of different walks of life in different areas and all over the world, the one thing that I'm starting to notice is that people that have fundamental disagreements with me are people that are closed-minded.
Oh, wow.
They don't want to hear my side, or they'll hear me, but then they'll say, I disagree with you. It's like, okay, well then you've completely shut down the argument. How am I supposed to go against anything or build anything if you just say, I'm completely against this? People need to learn that there's more to life than just your opinion.
Why do you think people choose, because it's a choice, to be closed-minded?
Cognitive dissonance.
I knew you were going to say that.
I don't think people like the idea that there is more to life or more to their thoughts. A lot of people, and I can say this with absolute certainty, because again, I speak to people from all over the world. It's like the people who disagree with me the most are people that I would have assumed had the same opinion. But it's the people abroad that actually agree with me more.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it because if they've talked to you, let's use this as an example, do you think it's because, Brian, people with cognitive dissonance, do you think it's because if they have to find themselves in a place where they might have to change or think about something, it's too much to handle?
It's part of it, yeah. Yeah, it's in a lot of different topics. It's not just obviously what we're talking about here,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like people will start agreeing with me, and then they'll start to shut down the argument by saying, "Oh, I just disagree with you," and then that's the end of it. They don't want to continue, and I do believe that it's because they are afraid
There it
to
is.
know where else it could lead.
That's what I'm trying to say.
They know that their viewpoints on life are going to be fundamentally changed, and they don't want it.
And there it is. Because here's the thing, when that starts to happen, it can change your whole paradigm of what you've been taught.
Or what you believe.
Right.
A lot of people that, or a couple of people I should say, that I've spoken with are people that grew up with the same viewpoints on life as I have, but then something happened where they tried to point the finger at somebody, and instead they pointed it at the wrong thing, and they stuck with it.
Wow.
And they would rather put the blame elsewhere than on themselves. And when I say blame themselves, I'm not talking about like it's all my fault. I'm talking about like, what is it about me that makes this the way it is?
Yeah.
Have I been doing something wrong? It's like self accountability.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's what I have found, that through, let's take beliefs. Okay. So the belief system that we grew up on, Brian, I'm finding that there's a lot of things that my mindset, values, and things through this have had to change. And I've talked to you about that. And it's been rough because it's caused me to have to take a deeper look inside myself and say, okay, I can't blame anybody else for this. But if I want to go down a different direction to learn more, and I'm willing to, I have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I
Well, it's
see what
almost
it's scary.
It doesn't have to be, though. I think the fact that you allow it to be scary is the very thing that holds you back. And maybe it's just because I'm so far ahead when it comes to this.
You are.
I look at the fear that some of these people that I've spoken with have, and I'm just looking at it, and I can't find any rational, common sense concepts. Like, why is it bad to go against the grain? And people could say, well, because it would make me have to come out of my shell a little bit, or make me have to change my mind. Again,
Mhm.
you can sit there and point all that out, but why is that a bad thing?
Okay, I'll answer that from my point of view, because I said it's scary and you said it's not. I think for me, and I can only speak for myself, because as I'm finding things out, and maybe scary is not the word, I think it's just kind of, maybe I'm afraid, because you have to understand that this is something that I grew up with my whole life, and now I'm finding out that, I'll say it this way, maybe I've been living a lie, and the thing is to have to change that all inside of you. It's not just your thinking, but it's your actions. It's everything. It's who you are. And now I'm becoming somebody different per se, because the beliefs are just not the same. It's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just for me, I've had to slow the process down a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, and I'm not saying run into the wall for full force. What I'm saying is, and you did the same thing that a lot of other people do. So I'm going to ask the question again: why is anything you just said a bad thing, or why is it a roadblock or a hindrance?
I don't know.
See, that there it is.
I don't know.
It does. I'm not sitting here saying, "See, I'm right." I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is it all?
Yes.
It's a mindset.
It is, because you've been conditioned to believe certain things a certain way, and if you go against that, like you just said, what does that do?
It does whatever you allow it to do. You have, and we've talked about this, and you've even said it before, is that you have more control over yourself than you think. You holding yourself back from progress, or from shifting your mindset or your paradigm, that's all you.
It's true.
That's nobody else doing
Right.
that. And I know you could say, well, it takes time to adjust. See,
Right.
that's the logic I keep looking for. I keep saying
Okay.
it's an adjustment.
There you go.
Okay,
I like that.
but nobody ever says that.
No, but I
And
like
notice
that.
it wasn't even your first response. You can agree, but it wasn't your first response.
It wasn't, but when you just said that, it made me more comfortable. Automatically, when you said the word adjustment, it made me feel more comfortable. Like I'm not so fearful now of the change, because you're almost like giving me permission to know that not only am I allowed to do this, okay, but it's accepting the time that it will take for that adjustment to happen.
And I wish more people would be willing to acknowledge that, because that's the issue. A lot of people aren't.
Oh no, I want to.
A lot of people just shut down the concept entirely.
No, I don't. No.
They don't even want to adjust.
Yes, I do. Why not? I'm becoming a better person because of it.
Now I know you, and maybe a lot of other people out there, but that's the whole point, is that a majority of the people that I talk to, they don't want to.
Well, I think they do themselves a very disservice by doing that.
Oh, they absolutely
by
do.
not allowing that
They
to
absolutely
happen.
do. This is why I like talking to people that have different viewpoints than me entirely. I don't put myself in an echo chamber.
Mm-hmm.
I don't surround myself with people who believe the same things I believe,
Right.
or do the same things I do. It's because I'm in the back of the room observing,
Mm-hmm.
and I look at how everybody else is reacting so that I can find the cracks in the armor.
Right. And with you saying the adjusting, I will tell you, Brian, with the things that I'm finding out, and you and I have been talking about this for a long time, is that I will say every week that we come here and sit here, I've moved a little bit more forward and a little bit more forward, and I think that's a good thing.
Apologies, I need to see if that works a little.
Is that better?
Testing. Ooh, yeah, much better.
Okay.
I don't know if it did anything for you, but for me, I sounded very like
Echoey?
muffled, quiet. Like, I don't know. I apologize. Anyway,
Okay, it didn't sound that way to me, but okay.
it fixed something to me. So
Okay, we're good there.
that's what matters.
Oh my God, shut up. All right, so are we good with that right now?
Yep,
Okay.
we can move on.
So when we finished talking on that live podcast, I left you guys with a quote that I had found. And I want to read it again because I think that this, Brian, really wraps up what we're just talking about here about adjusting and being allowed to let yourself change with whatever it is that you're finding out in your life through your journey. So here we go. Stop shape-shifting for people who can't see you. Other people don't see you. They see their unhealed lens. So every time you shrink yourself to fit their perception, you're abandoning the very part of you that came here to stand out. People-pleasing is a survival pattern, not your identity. Authenticity doesn't guarantee approval, it guarantees freedom. I love that. When you choose to be real, the fake ones naturally fall away. When you choose truth, resonance replaces validation. When you choose your soul, your people will find you. Return to yourself. Stop outsourcing your worth to people who can't even see their own. Be unique. Be you. And I think that's what we're exactly talking about, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm finding within my journey within myself, and I hope you guys are too. Even though some of this stuff that I'm finding out is like, yikes. But it's freeing me. I've never been more free. And every week I sit here with you, it's a little bit more, and it's a little bit more, and I love it. It's a little hard to take sometimes with the things I'm finding out, but at the end of the day, is it okay? Yeah, you know what, it is.
It's okay. I know how hard it is to admit that I'm right on a lot of things.
Shut up. You're not always right. All right, so we're going to go in today's podcast.
All
I
right.
just appreciate the fact, Brian, that before we do, that you being so much younger, I will say this. I'm glad that you found a lot of this out way before I did, because you know what? There are not a lot of people that I can talk to that are either in my place or in your place. But here's this, is what I'm saying. I can talk to you. because you understand.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You're a big help to me because it's almost like you've walked places I've never walked before.
Mm.
And I don't get it, why it had to, like, why it's not the other way around. I mean, I'm older than you. But maybe that's not what matters. Maybe it's the mindset that mattered.
Because I looked for it.
I know. And maybe I didn't want to. But then again, maybe it wasn't time. I don't know.
Obviously, I can't answer that.
Right. And I can't either. So, okay, let's go into today's podcast. So today we're going to discuss love, like we have been, rest, and create.
It's an interesting last one.
That's what Dad said. So I'm going to ask you, Brian, what do you think of when you think of love, rest, and create? Now, you can take those all separately or you can put them together.
Love is pretty self-explanatory.
Mm-hmm.
Rest, I think, is the idea of not just physically resting, but I think mentally putting yourself in a position of awareness,
I like that.
of energy, you know, fulfilling yourself. And creating is putting all of that into motion. Forging the future as you go.
Are you sure you didn't read the notes?
Oh, is it that close?
God, I hate you. No, I really don't. Okay, here we go. So we often say that we are all on a journey, and a journey is exactly that. A journey is a journey, not a destination. So that's really important because a lot of people think that if I just go this far, I can stop.
Mhm.
Well, you can't. And every day what I'm finding with my journey, Brian, and maybe you're finding this too, is that there's always more to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay, even if it throws you back a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
We also say we are more than what we think we are. And I'm going to stop there for a minute because you just said energy. Do you want to expound on that a little bit more right now, or do you want me to keep going? Because I'm kind of...
Well, I would have to understand what you think I meant by energy.
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, it's like waking up from a nap. You know,
Okay.
like you have the mental, physical, and emotional energy to...
Okay,
to do
that's where you
things.
were coming from?
Yeah, I wasn't talking about like spiritual or anything.
Okay, well, we'll keep
I was
going.
talking physical.
Okay, we'll keep going. All right. We've talked about in other episodes how our words, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your mind, which are your thoughts, your heart, which is intention, matter. I believe love, which is your heart and intent, along with your mind, your thoughts, and your words go together. But I'm also finding now, Brian, that rest also is part of it to help us to create our reality because we are love, light, frequency, and energy. See where I'm coming from? So I'm coming from a little bit more of a spiritual
Careful.
part.
Uh-huh.
Okay? Do you want to expound or sit there for a minute?
Well, the way I always interpreted it was like, you know how when you've had a really bad day at work, you come home and deal with even more crappy stuff, and then you go to bed and you wake up the next morning and deal with more crappy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously do get some sleep, but it's almost like your energy is zapped.
Yes.
That's kind of where I was coming from.
Okay.
So when you say rest, that's what I think. It's like, it's rejuvenation.
Okay. All right, we'll keep going.
I feel threatened.
You don't You don't need to feel threatened. Maybe you'll learn something. Okay, so we talked about love, light, frequency, and energy, which we are. Can't deny it. Okay, so I've heard it said, Brian, that perfect love has no fear. Perfect love casts out all fear. And we've been talking about love, so we don't have to get into a lot of that. But when we were talking about your mind, one thing that I found, Brian, and we've talked about your mind as being your thoughts, right? And we talked about deep thinking, about looking within yourself with deep thinking. because that comes along with change, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to read this to you. So I found this, that your breath controls your mind. I did not know this. Are you interested? I am. Okay. So your breath controls your mind, not the other way around. Okay. Most people try to think their way out of anxiety, but your nervous system listens to your breath before it listens to your thoughts.
Okay, you're on to something.
Fast, shallow breathing tells your body danger.
Mm-hmm.
Slow, extended, exhaled breaths tells your body you're safe. Safety is where healing begins. Longer exhales activates your, I'm going to try and say this, parasympathetic nervous system and calms the stress response. You don't need more willpower, you need regulated breath. Master your breath and your mind will follow. So when I think of rest, with where I'm going with this, like I said, we often think that our mind is what controls our breath, but it's actually your breath that controls your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Does this make sense?
It does.
Okay. That's where I was coming from.
Well, that's why in a lot of like very stressful jobs and, scary situations, a lot of people will tell you control your breath, like control your breathing.
Right.
Yeah, so you're not wrong so far.
I'm not wrong. So now I want to talk about the rest part of it. And I found this too. It's really intriguing. So rest is coherence. And I know you talked about it as being like you come home from work, you take a nap, you get up, you feel more energized.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that that's wrong.
No, it goes along with it. You're more coherent.
Right. So rest is coherence. It is a measure of the pattern of the heart's rhythm. It is a state of rest, which is a state of being and not doing. Everything flows out of rest. It helps the body to operate in harmony, not in discord. It brings us to a place of health and wholeness. Consciously and intentionally, we can begin to come to that place of balance. And I think that that's what I'm talking about when I say that we're love, we're light, we're frequency, we're energy, is that we have to find balance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I've said to you, and I think I don't know if it was the last podcast live or the one before that, but I've said that we are spirit, soul, and body. And your spirit is your innermost being, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they are not in harmony, they can cause discord, which can turn to physical effects. And I had mentioned that to you before, how, like with mom and dad passing away and what I was going through, it was actually bringing me to a place where I was physically starting to get sick.
Mm-hmm.
So your spirit, your soul, and your body need to be in harmony.
Yeah.
And I think today we get a lot of that backwards. We've been taught body, soul, and spirit. Well, to me, I think if your spirit is aligned, it will align your soul and your body will just follow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm absorbing.
Okay. We've been, like I said, we've been taught body, soul, and spirit. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with taking care of your body and your soul. Those are important things, right? People take care of their body by exercising, by eating right, that kind of thing. Your soul is your emotion. We're going to talk about that a little bit here in a minute. But I don't think people today, Brian, take care of their spirit as much as they should.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the spirit is just as important, if not more so.
Mm.
Okay? So let's talk about definitions. Let's talk about the definition of spirit. Spirit is a supernatural, incorporeal being, meaning this: it's not composed of matter, having no material existence,
Mm-hmm.
especially one inhabiting a place, an object, or having a particular character.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm just going to say this so you'll understand where we're coming from, and I think you'll agree with me. With what
Yeah.
we believe in the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not saying that that's what viewers that are watching believe in or have to believe in. You do you, boo. But we all have a spirit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the soul is the emotional part of human nature, the seat of feelings or sentiments. And we've talked about how our feelings and our emotions are different. We've talked about that in an episode, and how with that, sometimes we need to let our. Did you explain this to me one time, Brian? I want to get it right. That sometimes your emotions tend to take over, and which one do you like? You have to keep a check on both, is what I'm saying, right? But you said that sometimes people let their emotions control them more than their feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. Emotions are the in that moment reaction. Instead of letting their feelings or logic determine what is right. The irrationality of emotion is what I think is a natural body response. Logic is, for easy explanation for the viewers and even you, I think logic is what the soul relies on.
Okay.
It's like the gut feeling.
Intuition?
Yeah, it's part of it.
Okay.
I just think emotions are a pure body scenario. Because I'm not saying that emotions can't be used for good things and they can do good things, but let's think of times where we have gotten heavily emotional in a situation, right? Whether it was justified or not is not the point. But think of how emotion can lead to very spontaneous reactions.
Mm-hmm.
It's not long-term solutions. It's momentary solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's what emotion is. Emotion is the body's response. Logic is the spirit's results. Solution, rather.
Okay. So talk about the spirit a little bit more with me, Brian. What do you think? Like, we all have a spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with me that you think that it has a huge part to play?
When you say that, do you mean like, does it have a role? Or
Yeah.
do you mean, does it factor in with emotion?
Answer both.
So I think it's very difficult for the average person. And I say this average, okay? Because I know some people can and do rely a lot on logic. But it's very easy to lose sight of the logic and the spirit in everyday life.
Absolutely.
So it's very easy for us as human beings to use emotion to dictate our choices. Now, logic impacting the soul, or the spirit, I should say, and there is a difference. I can explain what the difference is if you'd like.
I want you to.
But I think a person that is very, and I'm not saying this, again, I'm speaking generally, I think people that rely a lot more on logic in very high stress situations are people that have a handle on themselves. It's like holding the reins on a wild horse.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it. I don't know if that necessarily answered your question.
It does. How do you think the spirit follows in that? I mean, we're all spirits.
I think, see, decisions made by the flesh or the body, like through emotions, I don't think impact the soul very much, because a lot of it is reliance on like consequences.
Okay.
You know, like emotions lead to choices and choices can lead to consequences. You already pay the price for it regardless. The soul, on the other hand, relying fully on logic-based scenarios, I think it's very easy to find that, like, you know, whenever you make a choice based on the most rational decision and you know it was the best one, and even people start saying, wow, that was really smart, you get rewarded, you know? you get rewarded for it. You can tell the difference between an emotional response and a logical one based on outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very easy to see how one can definitely suffer more than the other, but one benefits more than the other.
Is that more the spirit side?
Yeah, I would say the spirit is probably rewarded more.
That's
Because it's a very temporary thing. Like if you make an emotional choice and if it's the right one, it's a very fleeting feeling.
That's what I wanted you to say.
It's like, think of it like, revenge stories, right? Like you finally do it. You've taken revenge on somebody who did something to you or a family member, and then it feels empty.
Mm.
It's
Yes.
almost like you had the purpose and then it's gone. But if you had approached it from a logical perspective of like, instead of getting back at this person personally, I'm going to do it in a roundabout way. And then when it's finally done, and I know this because it's happened to me before, where if I either let it roll off my back and handle it logically, it's almost a long-term reward when it finally hits.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't necessarily mean the person you're trying to, get revenge on, for example, in this scenario, has to suffer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But just knowing that you succeeded by pure logic alone instead of emotion, it's more long-term rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
It brings more peace, knowing that I had the last word.
Is that good?
In this specific example.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
speaking in this specific example.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I went specific.
Okay. So with the spirit, do you think, Brian, the spirit is more like within you is more like a guide?
I wouldn't call it a guide.
Intuition? Is it deeper? Because I don't think your soul is.
The spirit relies more on things that are not tangible, like love, for example. Love has no, you can't show me what love is in and of itself. You need an external thing to express what love is.
Okay.
Same with hatred. The same thing with jealousy. All of these emotions that are beyond our physical form, that have no physical substance, are things that cannot be explained logically in the human mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because these emotions that we as human beings have that are not expressed anywhere in the animal kingdom, and maybe somebody can point to, well, this looks like love. Yeah, but do you know that? Like, did that animal express to you that, yeah, this is love? You don't know that.
Right.
We can make observations and then draw a correlation, but you can't put love in a bottle and paint it red.
Right. So it's basically what the definition said. It's supernatural. It's not composed of matter having no material existence.
Exactly. People can try and say, like, I would dare somebody to stand in a room and try and in a padded room with nobody else in it and tell me what love is. Or no, let me rephrase that. Show me what love is. Don't tell me. Show me. You can't do it. It's impossible. They have to explain it. They can't show you. Again, you can't put love in a jar and paint it red.
But don't I show you love if I...
Yeah, see, you just did it. You said show me. You showed me love. You need another thing there to show what love is.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
If you had one human being on planet Earth surrounded by literally nothing, just a barren wasteland.
Okay, I see what you're doing.
You can't express what love is without the concept of it being in the mind. You know what I'm saying? It takes a very specific circumstance to explain what love is, what hate is, what jealousy, romance, things that cannot have physical form, yet they exist.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to be diving deeper into this. I just want you to.
But do you see how all of those things that I just said, all of them are logic based?
Right.
They are emotions, but without a logical explanation of expression, they cannot exist absent the mind. And I think it comes from a deeper place within the human body. It has to. Because you can say, oh, well, I have love for this thing. What benefit does it offer you to love it? Of course, it's an emotional thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's a deeper connection. Because I can't say I express love for this water bottle. What does that offer me?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I can't form any connection with this. But if I say, I love my dog, there's a bond there.
Mm-hmm.
The dog might not understand the concept of love the way I do, because a dog just sees me as a pack member, right?
Right.
It's not like this dog loves me the way I love it,
Right.
you know, because I can see the value in my dog. But if I just vanished and my dog was outside, my dog would probably be like, "Where's my owner?" But then eventually just wander off. Like, you know what I'm saying?
It doesn't care.
It doesn't care. I mean, cats do the same thing to even a worse degree. Don't, for the love of God, don't look up what cats do to their owners if they pass away. But see, that's my point. Is that humans, we exclusively have something that the rest of the animal kingdom doesn't. Why? That's the answer. And it's one of my strongest examples of proof of God. Because without these things, and you can replace God with anything. I personally believe in God, but you can use that and say there's a proof of something else. There has to be. Because there's no benefit to morality without the concept of there being something behind it. Because at that point, feelings, emotions, morality, all subjective. What are you basing it on yourself? You basing it on personal opinion? On majority opinion? There's no authority behind it. How do you know that my love is the same as yours? And you could say, oh, well, we can demonstrate it. Okay, it still doesn't prove anything. Because I could talk to 100,000 people and all of them may have different concepts of what love is. Different cultures and societies. You know what I'm saying? But there is something exclusive about humanity that makes love, emotions in general, incredibly unique. Which is why I personally believe that we as human beings have to be something more than just a brain and a meat suit.
That's what I'm getting at. I like that. And that's where I believe, Brian, the spiritual realm has a very deeper meaning to our lives than what we've been taught and what we have allowed. Am I making sense? Yeah. And like I said, we're going to dive into this deeper.
It also has to go in with the idea of value. You know, human beings are a dime a dozen. But what makes every human unique? It's not your fingerprints, it's not just your fingerprints, not just your emotions. It's who you are.
Okay. Are you saying your spirit is your identity?
I personally believe so, yes.
Yep. There it is. Absolutely. I believe that too. Your spirit is your identity. And I think that your identity is who you are. And if you want to know who you are, I think you need to get more in touch with your spirit.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I was going. And you said it, friend. I love that. And we are going to dive deeper into all of this. So your body is the physical structure of a person or an animal, including the bones, flesh, and organs. Everybody knows this. Do you want to divulge any more, Brian, with the spirit, the soul, the body?
Is there a point where I can explain the difference between the three?
Now.
Okay, I didn't know if there was some other points
No,
you wanted to
we're
make.
almost getting ready to wrap this up.
So the best way I can describe the three, obviously the body is an easy thing to explain. It's the thing that you see, right?
It's your meat suit.
Exactly. It's everything that compiles what you can see physically. The spirit is your emotions. It's your feelings. It's who you are as an individual.
That's not
It's
your
what
soul.
makes your soul.
Okay, I'm sorry I interrupted.
You
Go
did.
back. Go
You
back.
did. You
Go back to the
interrupted.
spirit.
You
Sorry.
that's strike one. Strike two, you're getting banned. Strike three, the podcast shuts down.
You're out. Okay, go back.
So the spirit is your emotions. It's who you are as an individual. It helps compile everything. And your spirit can influence your body's response to emotion based on how your brain processes information. Your soul is what you would consider the real you. It's the thing that sits in the background and observes. It's kind of like the skeleton of the shell, you know?
Okay.
It holds everything together. That's always how I've interpreted it. Now, is that a scientific explanation? Probably not. However, that is how I see it, because you have people say, I just feel it in my soul. Common expression, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel it in my soul. It's something deep within.
Okay.
That's how I've always interpreted it.
And I'm not knocking your
You better not.
What I'm saying is, when I looked these up, the soul they defined as the emotional part of human nature, the seat of the feelings or sediment. But that's not what you're saying. You're saying you think that's the spiritual part, the spirit.
The reason I say that, and like I said, it's not scientific. It might not even be in appearance to definition. But I'm just saying, it seems like the spirit has more of an influence, because it seems to be everything that encompasses you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, when you say, it's like when you say, well, what's your gut feeling? I don't say, oh, it's my soul. I say, I feel it in my spirit. There's something about it, you know? So maybe I'm looking at it from a different point of view. I would say probably both are right. Because the thing is, when we're talking about things like this, I can't prove it. You know, I will sit here and openly admit that there are some things that we can talk about that have no basis in scientific study. Okay? Like, again, nobody can take a soul out of somebody, put it in a jar, and paint it red. You know? Now, we can go through experiences that people have had. There's a lot of compelling evidence out there of something beyond the flesh.
Absolutely.
And I'm sorry, if you are a viewer who doesn't believe in the supernatural, I value that, or I respect and value your input, your view, but I've seen some things
that you can't explain.
that I cannot explain. I've heard things that I cannot explain.
Right.
You know, I don't mean with my own ears. I mean, like, from people telling me stories. And I know you could say, oh, well, they're just stories. How do you know? Yeah, you're right. I take everything with a grain of salt. I mean, I think people that have watched this podcast know enough by this point. I question everything.
Right.
You know? But based on personal experience and even stories and videos that I've seen, there are some things that are very difficult to explain.
Yeah.
Now, maybe they can be, and I would love to see it. But just based off of the logic that I have as a human being and the things that I've experienced, witnessed, and demonstrated, it's very hard to say that love, empathy, romance, hatred, jealousy, any emotion you can name absent the mind does not exist. You can't convince me that it doesn't. It has to. Because it's like, absent the mind, can love exist?
Are you asking me? Or you're
I'm asking, I'm telling,
okay.
I'm I'm not really looking for an answer because I don't think there is one. I think anybody with half a brain cell knows that love exists,
Okay.
but absent the mind,
Mm-hmm.
does it exist?
Mm-hmm.
What is it about us that make these emotions legitimate? Now, people can have different interpretations on them. Love has many different definitions. There's romance love, there's family love, there's, pet love. Love has many different descriptions, but absent the mind, love cannot exist. It has to be something internal.
Is that where it gets supernatural, spiritual?
I would say to a degree, yes.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
I agree with that too.
Yeah.
Yep. There is something to the spirit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why when I say we are spirit, soul, and body, there is something definitely to that. And I think we need to get more in depth with that. I like that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's really good.
I think it helps when, even if you don't believe it, I'll play devil's advocate in here and say, I don't believe any of it. Well, what does believing in it, how does that give a disservice? It's kind of like I was talking to a guy, one of my friends. He's a hardcore atheist, and he doesn't believe in God. But the one thing he told me, he said, I may not believe in God, but I will act like he does. And I will say, really, why? And he goes, because there is no greater love than God has for us. And it helps me to treat others with that same level of empathy.
How can you do both?
I think personal experience can lead a person to that. I talked to him about it quite a bit, and I'm seeing a change. I think he wants to believe, but even assuming he doesn't, what he said clicks something to me, and I'm like, yeah, even if you don't believe in God, what disservice does it do to not believe in the idea? Do you see the point?
Mm-hmm. But God is love.
Exactly, that's his point. He doesn't think of God as a literal thing.
Okay.
He believes it as a mindset.
Okay. Now I understand where you're coming from. Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
But see how it takes something supernatural outside of the man to give him that idea of the perfect love. Isn't that interesting?
Wow. Yes.
I don't know. There's something to it.
There is. Wow, we're going to keep going with this. We need to talk off camera.
No, not doing that. We're doing everything. Our viewers need to know.
Oh, they'll know because we're going to talk and put it on paper. All right. So are you good? Because we're going to start wrapping this up. Okay. So I will admit that I do not understand all of what this means. I don't. I'm just now I understand spirit, soul, body from an aspect of what I've been taught my whole life, but I'm also finding out new aspects. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know everything because I don't. I am diving deeper.
And I do also
And
want
I
to
am going
clarify.
to.
I do also want to clarify. This is not the strongest topic that I discuss in a lot of my debates. So I just want everyone to also do what I do and take everything I say with a grain of salt. I'm not doubting myself. I'm just saying it's not something that I typically talk about.
Right.
So this is obviously something that I would like to dive deeper into as well to get a better grasp on it.
Good.
Who knows? Next week when we talk about this next, I may have a completely different view on it. Because I think that's the beauty, and I've said it in many of my other, couple of the other shows, or episodes, I should say, is that my opinion is never solidified.
I like that, Brian.
There's never anything that I believe that can't be changed.
Good.
I could get on here next week and say, okay, so turns out I was wrong about the body and the soul.
I love that about you.
I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong or if I get something mixed up. I
No,
think it's very
I
important
think it's good
to.
because you're willing to grow.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody that bases their opinions on fact, which is why I make it clear that some things are outside the realm of science. Like, I can't demonstrate what love is
Well, there's fact.
outside of expression.
Well, there's fact and then there's truth, my friend. That's different.
Fact and
It's not facts. No, facts change. Truth doesn't.
yeah, I kind of agree with that. I wouldn't really want to call facts something that can be changed. I wouldn't call them facts.
What would you call them?
Well, you're talking about subjective or objective? Because subjective is always prone to change. Objective is just grounded in reality.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Like if I said 2 + 2 = 4, that's a fact. That's never going to change.
Right.
That's objective. But if you said 2 + 2 = pineapple, you can sit here and say, well, I think that's a fact. Well, that's a subjective fact.
Right.
Because it's not true.
Right.
It's just your perception of it.
I see what you're doing.
That's purely subjective. And subjective can be prone to change based on how many people you talk to about it.
Right.
But objective fact is established in reality.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love the fact that you're willing to dig deeper. Because this can be kind of intimidating to some people.
You think so? I'm just kidding.
Yes. I know it has been for me, but the more I find, the more I want, the more I'm learning, and I love it. Okay, we'll keep going. So, with everything that we've talked about tonight, this is where, when I had entitled this podcast tonight about love, rest, and create, that's kind of where I'm going with this, Brian, with the create part. We understand love, we understand rest. Hopefully we have a better understanding of it. But to create, I think that all has to do with the spirit, the soul, and the body. I think we are creative beings, and we can create reality.
I think we can influence. I don't think we can create.
Ooh. We're going to keep going with that. Yeah. See, I told you guys we don't always agree on everything, but we talk a lot and we debate a lot. But one thing we do.
I win.
No, we do is we respect.
Do.
Yeah, we do. We respect each other's opinions. Like, we don't fight over it or walk away or be like, we're not talking anymore because you're not, we work out our differences. And even if we never come to a compromise as far as like agreeing totally with, we're okay with it. And that's important. Because you might never find everybody to agree totally, but it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. Do you have anything you want to say before I read our quote?
Nope.
Okay. So I'm going to read our quote. Believe in yourself, be patient with yourself, and know that your best is always good enough. Also, we can be found on many different platforms like YouTube, Spotify, X, and Apple. Please like, share, subscribe, and turn on any notifications. We do have an email at giveemheck@gmail.com. And we do have a Facebook page called Give 'em Heck Podcast, which that's where we put a lot of our announcements and our live podcasts and anything else that we are doing. And we also have a TikTok at Give 'em Heck Official. And we should be having another podcast next Saturday night. It won't be live, but we will be having another podcast unless something happens between now and then.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, I think we're good.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.